You could start with death is preferable to life, but you don't get very far that way. And
Stop suffering.
Well, no, I'm saying you could start with death is preferable to life, but you don't get very far that way because those
you do. You stop suffering. You just die.
Yes.
Right, so you can start with that presupposition.
Except that when you're dead, you're not being, so there's no well-being.
No, well, that's...
Just like people report other experiences as if they were religious or ghosts or whatever, we have no way of confirming that this something mystical or supernatural actually happened. What this is about the language.
Stops people from smoking.
Well, you can stop smoking without any sort of supernatural intervention.
No, not really.
You can't stop smoking without supernatural?
There aren't really any reliable chemical means for inducing smoking cessation. You can use a drug called bupropion. I think that's the one. It's whatever Wellbutrin is.
Is that supernatural?
No, you don't need a supernatural effect, but it doesn't work very well. But if you give people magic mushrooms, psilocybin, and they have a mystical experience, they have about an 85% chance of smoking cessation with one treatment. But that's kind of like evidence, you know. It's kind of like evidence.
It's evidence that you can take mushrooms and increase your chance of quitting smoking. But
no, it's not. It's indication that if you take mushrooms and you have a mystical experience, you'll stop smoking because it doesn't work if you don't have
if you take mushrooms and you have an experience that you describe as mystical, then you'll increase your chance of smoking. But that doesn't tell me whether or not there was something to this notion that they had an experience that was supernatural in any sense.
Well, it's not definitive evidence.
What is it that you fear we would lose if people stopped believing that there was a God?
We'd lose the metaphoric substrate of our ethos, and we'd be lost.
And so I'm
I think Nietzsche
an
was
uneducated.
right about that.
So I really want to know, and I'm not being a dick. I want to know what you mean by metaphorical substrate, because saying we're going to lose it. So there's the idea. When I ask, what do you think we're going to lose? There's two things. One is there's something that you and I would both agree we should try to keep.
Yeah.
And there are other things that you and I might disagree on whether or not we should keep it. Because when people say to me, oh, if we go down the road with Dostoevsky, that, if there is no God, everything's permissible. First of all, I don't think that's remotely true, because I have...
He makes a pretty vicious case for it, beyond good and evil.
And despite the fact that it sounds monumentally arrogant, I think I can demolish that case in about 2 minutes with his secular morality lecture. Well,
I think the first part of that statement is right, but not the second one.
And we could find out. But the thing is, there would be two categories of things that you and others might be fearful we would lose, some of which I might agree we should definitely not lose these things.
Yeah.
Others I might be absolutely fine with losing.
Like that it's wrong to throw Sam Harris off a stage.
Yeah. I don't plan on doing that, but
well, we both
it did cross my mind at one point.
We both agreed that was probably wrong.
Yes.
So that's good.
Probably.
Yeah.
See, I'm a situational ethicist, and so there might be situations. If the stage were on fire, throwing Sam off would be the best thing I could do for him.
If all humanity were to cease to exist, does God still exist?
I don't think I know how to answer that. It's just... The situation is too hypothetical. I mean, I can take a crack at some of it, but one of the issues that I have, and you can respond to this, is that let's say the celebrity atheist types, because I actually like that phrase, they don't seem to me to be contending with the real issues. They seem to be going... What are the real issues? Dostoevsky, he's a real issue. Tolstoy, he's a real issue. Carl Jung, 20 books and maybe 15 seminars. He's a real issue. Mircea Eliade. Like, there are some serious heavy hitters in the religious phenomenology domain. And my sense so far, I just finished reading all of Harris's books, for example, he doesn't contend with them at all. And it's like, for me, that's like being an evolutionary biologist and not being aware of Darwin. It's actually a big problem. It's not something you can hand wave away. Jung was a mystic. It's like, sorry. He was about as smart as Friedrich Nietzsche.
I think this gets to basically the same point I was talking about before. The thing that you're objecting to, it seems, is that many of us don't want to address the aspects of religion that you find value in, because we're only focused on, perhaps as I'm talking in the show, from a scientific skepticism perspective of, are there valid and sound arguments that would lead one to conclude that a God exists? My answer to this so far seems to be no. And the apologists, the theologians, they keep presenting the arguments, the teleological arguments, moral arguments, and all these things. They have nothing to do with the phenomenology of religion. They have nothing to do with how this impacts people's lives. This is a question of, is it in fact the case? Is it consistent with reality that there is a God? And is it consistent with reality that there is good reason to believe there's a God? That is where the focus is primarily.
Yeah, and it's usually construed as a scientific issue.
Well, it's not so. I would never construe it as a scientific issue, because science can't confirm the supernatural. I mean, we are blocked until somebody demonstrates a mechanism by which we can explore and confirm the existence of the supernatural, and then confirm that it actually can impact the natural world. We're stuck, which is why science relies on methodological naturalism.
You seem to be able to do it with psychedelic drugs.
You seem to be able to do what with psychedelic drugs?
Well, everybody that takes them under reliable settings generally comes back and claims the presence of a mystical experience.
Yeah,
and that seems to be duplicatable and replicable across cultures in labs with multiple different substances, the chemical constituents of which are known very well. It's like it's part of this religious phenomenology. And to me, that's just a set of facts. And we know that people have been using those substances to evoke mystical and religious experiences for, who knows, 150,000 years maybe. Sure. We can at least infer that. And we have no idea whatsoever how much of an effect the use of those substances has had on the metaphysical substrate of our culture. So what constitutes scientific data here is by no means clear. Here's an example of this, for example. So,
well, before the example,
yeah?
As someone who's been high as a kite, I fully agree that people take drugs and report experiences that they describe as mystical or supernatural. Just like people report other experiences as if they were religious or ghosts or whatever. We have no way of confirming that this something mystical or supernatural actually happened.
All right, folks, Trav here. I have produced legendary conversations all around the globe. Canada, US, United Kingdom, Australia. And after a long night of discussions, I want to sit down and catch up on some cool intellectual content. But now that I'm in a new country, Netflix says, "Oh, I'm sorry, this content is no longer available." Enter Private Internet Access VPN, my intellectual companion. Private Internet Access VPN service is not just about unlocking Netflix or Disney Plus content, it's about unlocking a whole new world of intellectual exploration. Click connect and suddenly you have access to a conversation from the other side of the globe that you never even knew existed. This sponsorship with Private Internet Access VPN is about all of us in this community. It is going to allow us to produce more legendary events that will last for years to come. With over 30 million downloads and a no logs policy that has been proven in a court of law, your intellectual property remains yours. It's not just a VPN, it's your shield against unwanted surveillance. All you need is one VPN subscription to protect all of your devices. Windows, Mac, Linux, iOS, you name it. With a mind-boggling Pangburn community discount for 83%, you're only going to be paying $2.03 per month. You also get 4 months free and a 30-day money-back guarantee. All you thinkers, debaters, and knowledge seekers, hit the link below to secure your new Private Internet Access VPN deal.